They say trust is built quietly, but it breaks loud. I had traveled over 700 miles to surprise my husband. No warning, no phone call, just love and a suitcase full of hope. But as I stood outside that hotel room door, key card trembling in my hand, I heard a sound that froze the blood in my veins. Not laughter, not music, something else. Something that made me realize this trip would change my life forever. Stay with me till the end of this story, because what I discovered that night was not just about marriage, but about truth, silence, and the price of ignoring signs. Before that night, I believed I knew the man I married. But do we ever truly know someone, or do we only know the version they choose to show us? What was my husband really doing on those business trips? Why did my heart feel uneasy weeks before I booked that flight? And most importantly, when love meets truth, which one survives? This is not just my story. It is a mirror, and by the end, you may see your own reflection in it. My name is Margaret. I was married for 23 years to a man named Thomas. We met young, built a life brick by brick. 2 children, a modest home, Sunday dinners, and shared prayers. Thomas worked in logistics, frequent travel, long meetings, late nights. At first, I admired his dedication. Then I accepted his absence. Then I got used to the silence. People would say, "You're strong," or "You're patient." But patience, I learned, can sometimes be fear wearing a brave face. Still, I trusted him. Or maybe I needed to. Our daughter, Emily, was in her 2nd year of college studying nursing. Our son, Daniel, had just started high school and played varsity basketball. They adored their father. Whenever Thomas came home from a trip, the house felt complete again. He would bring small gifts, tell stories from the road, and sit at the dinner table like he had never left. But I noticed something shifting in me. The way I watched him unpack his suitcase. The way I listened a little too closely when his phone buzzed. The way I found myself awake at 3 in the morning wondering if the man beside me was truly the man I married. One evening, after Thomas returned from a week-long conference in Denver, I asked him how it went. He smiled, kissed my forehead, and said, "Same old meetings, honey. You know how it is." But his eyes didn't meet mine. And for the first time in 23 years, I felt like a stranger in my own home. That night, I lay beside him staring at the ceiling, listening to him breathe, and wondered how long I had been choosing comfort over truth. 3 weeks before the trip, Thomas mentioned another conference. Chicago. For nights. Something inside me shifted. I smiled. I nodded. But that night, I couldn't sleep. So I did something I had never done before. I booked a flight. Not to confront. Not to accuse. Just to surprise him. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Maybe deep down, I already knew. Maybe I was just tired of pretending. The morning I left, Emily called me from campus. "Mom, are you okay? You sound different." I laughed it off, told her I was fine, just a little tired. But mothers can't fool their daughters. "Just be careful, Mom," she said before hanging up. I didn't know what she meant then. I do now. The flight felt endless. Every minute stretched into an hour. I kept rehearsing what I would say when I saw him. "Surprise. I missed you. Let's grab dinner." But the words felt hollow even in my head. When I landed, I took a cab straight to the hotel. The receptionist smiled when I asked for his room. "Your husband checked in earlier," she said. "Room 417. Would you like me to call up and let him know you're here?" I shook my head. "No, thank you. I want it to be a surprise." My heart raced as I walked down that hallway. The carpet was dark red, worn in the center from years of footsteps. The lights flickered slightly overhead. I could hear muffled televisions from other rooms, the hum of the ice machine at the end of the hall. Then I reached 417, and that's when I heard it. Muffled, urgent, unmistakably human. My hand hovered over the door handle. And that's when I realized this was no longer a surprise. It was a reckoning. Before we go deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. I didn't open the door. Instead, I sat on the floor outside that room for what felt like an eternity. My back pressed against the cold wall. My suitcase beside me like a sad companion. I could still hear the sounds. Laughter now. Low voices. A woman's voice. Memories flooded me. Birthdays missed. Phone calls rushed. Promises postponed. The time Thomas forgot our anniversary because he was closing a deal in Atlanta. The time he missed Daniel's championship game because his flight got delayed. Or so he said. The time Emily cried because her dad wasn't there for her high school graduation. He's working hard for us, I told her. He loves you. But did he? Or was I just repeating lines I needed to believe? I don't know how long I sat there. It could have been 10 minutes. It could have been an hour. Finally, the door opened. Thomas stepped out, adjusting his tie, his jacket slung over his arm. He froze. His face went white. Behind him, I could see the edge of the bed, the open curtains, the city lights beyond. And then I saw her. A woman, younger than me, pulling on her coat, her hair still disheveled. She looked at me, then at him, and for a moment, the three of us just stood there in a terrible triangle of silence. Margaret, Thomas whispered. His voice cracked. Just my name. Nothing else. The woman slipped past us without a word, her heels clicking down the hallway until she disappeared into the elevator. Thomas reached for me, but I stepped back. Don't, I said. My voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes right before everything falls apart. I came to surprise you. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I can explain. Can you? I asked. Can you really explain 23 years? He had no answer. So I turned and walked away, dragging my suitcase behind me, leaving him standing in that doorway like a ghost of the man I thought I knew. Back home, everything collapsed quietly. No shouting, no dramatic scenes, just paperwork, lawyers, and long, lonely nights. The kids knew something was wrong, but I didn't tell them right away. How do you tell your children their father is not who they thought he was? Emily came home one weekend and found me crying in the kitchen. She didn't ask questions. She just held me. Daniel pretended not to notice, but I saw the way he looked at his father during their last phone call. Cold, distant, disappointed. I questioned myself more than him. Was I blind, or was I afraid to see? Had I ignored the signs because it was easier than facing the truth? I replayed every moment, every trip, every excuse. And I realized the betrayal didn't start in that hotel room. It started years ago, in the small silences, the little lies, the slow erosion of intimacy. I had let it happen, not because I was weak, but because I was tired. Tired of fighting, tired of doubting, tired of being the one who always had to ask, "Are we okay?" Months later, I found something unexpected. A letter Thomas had written but never sent. It was tucked inside an old book he had left behind, a novel about a man who runs away from his life. I almost didn't open it, but something made me. In it, he admitted something deeper than betrayal. Loneliness, fear of aging, fear of irrelevance, fear of being seen as ordinary. He wrote about how he felt invisible at home, how the kids had grown up and didn't need him anymore, how I had become so strong that he didn't know where he fit. He wrote about the affair, yes, but not in the way I expected. It wasn't about love. It was about running. Running from himself. From the weight of being a husband, a father, a man who felt like he was disappearing. I read that letter 3 times. And each time, I felt something shift inside me. I was angry. I was hurt. But I also understood. Not in a way that excused what he did, but in a way that freed me from carrying his choices as my failure. His betrayal was not my failure. It was his unfinished work, his inability to face himself, his fear of being human. And suddenly, I realized I had spent so much of my life trying to hold us together that I forgot to ask if I was holding myself together. I thought about all the women who stay, who forgive, who try again. And I thought about all the women who leave, who rebuild, who choose themselves. Neither is wrong. Both are acts of survival. But for me, staying would have meant dying a slow death. So I chose to leave. Not out of anger, but out of love. Love for the woman I used to be. Love for the woman I could still become. I chose peace. Not revenge. Not bitterness. I rebuilt my life slowly. New routines. New friendships. A deeper relationship with myself. Some nights were heavy, but mornings came anyway. I started going to therapy, something I had always thought was for other people. I learned to sit with my pain instead of running from it. I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing the weight so you can walk lighter. Emily graduated nursing school. Daniel got a scholarship to play basketball in college. They asked me once if I regretted the divorce. I told them the truth. I regret the pain, but I don't regret choosing myself. Thomas reached out a few times. Apologies, explanations, requests to talk. I responded kindly but firmly. Some doors, once closed, are meant to stay that way. One day, standing in my quiet kitchen, I realized something profound. Sometimes, life doesn't break you to destroy you. It breaks you to release you, to free you from the story you thought you had to live, to show you that you are stronger than the roles you were given. Trust your intuition. Silence is also an answer, and love should never require you to disappear. I am not the same Margaret who stood outside that hotel room. I am not the woman who waited, who hoped, who believed that patience was the same as love. I am the woman who walked away, who rebuilt, who learned that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. And if you are reading this, or watching this, or sitting alone somewhere wondering if you have the strength to do what needs to be done, I want you to know something. You do. You already do. You just have to choose yourself. Even when it's hard. Even when it hurts. Especially then. Now I ask you, what would you have done standing outside that door? Do you believe betrayal always ends a story, or can it begin a better one? Have you ever ignored your intuition because you were afraid of what you might find? And if you were Margaret, would you have stayed, or would you have walked away? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice might help someone else feel less alone. And if this story stayed with you, subscribe for more timeless stories that reveal the quiet truths hidden inside everyday lives. Because the next story may feel even closer than you expect.